3, 2, 1.
Here we go. Oh, yeah. Good morning. Good people. Welcome to A to Z Sports Live. We stream live on YouTube. We on Facebook. And, of course, I am your host, Will Skywalker. Still, boom! What's happening, Bomb Squad? Hold on, wait. They squabbling out there now. We gonna get into it, I promise you. Final practice out in Oxnard comes to a close, and it closes with a bang. We're going to talk about it with our guy, Patrick No-C Walker, on the scientific method coming up later. We'll get into all the actual football stuff, but of course, we'll get his take on what happened down there, see what he's looking forward to for Saturday's game. And then after that, we'll talk about whether some guys have risen or fallen on this depth chart in regards to the totem pole. But just in case y'all didn't hear me, man.
Yeah!
Yeah!
Wobbling out there now. Yeah!
Hey, look, I'll just tell you right now before we get into it. I'm fine. I love it. I love it, man. It's close to football season. I mean, it is football season, but it's close to week one, and these guys aren't playing anyone else, the starters that is, until that day. So these things are going to happen. But Micah talked about it. J-Rock talked about it. We'll hear from them in the roundup as well, Cowboys Nation. All right? What's happening with y'all, Bomb Squad?
Bomb Squad!
I'm good, Nick. Good to see everybody in the chat. We already about 200 deep. Thank you for being here this morning as we continue to try to make this thing the number one place to get your Dallas Cowboys takes, information, analysis, breakdowns, and also interact with your boy Skywalker. 351-999-3787 is the call-in line, Cowboys Nation. So let's just get right into it, man, because we got our guy Pat coming up at the top of the hour.
Now that we've said hello, let's get down to business.
Let's get down to it.
It's time! It's time! It's time! It's time!
It's time.
It is time for
It's time for the morning roundup. Round 'em up, boys.
Let me talk to you.
Yeah, that's what Tyler Biotis said. This Sam Williams. I'm sorry, I gotta laugh. My bad, y'all. I'm trying to be serious here. Bruh, Tyler Biotis, look, I'm cool with the grit. There was a point in time, we talked about this yesterday on Vacha's show. There was a point in time where this Cowboys offensive line saw, who was it? Andy Dalton get knocked in the next week by a rival team, nonetheless. And they just sat there. Tyler Biotis saw Brock Hoffman get beat off the line of scrimmage at camp with Sam Williams, getting a little pushing back and forth and whatnot. And he came out of nowhere with a Goldberg spear, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, I'll play it here for a little bit. And I'm okay with this, man. Look, was it a cheap shot? Maybe a little bit, but it looked like Sam might have been ready to throw one too. Now, he pulled back. But Tyler ain't know he was going to pull back, and Tyler came in there and got a little cheap shot off. But, hey, man, look, if you've played football, if you've practiced in the summer, whether it be Little League, high school, college, professionally, these things happen. They absolutely happen. Now, Sam Williams went crazy on everybody, telling everybody to get up off him and this and that. But, again, I'm okay with this, man. I'm not tripping about it. These boys weren't tripping about it after the fact. They had dinner. They laughed about it. In fact, I think it was J-Ron Curse who had some few words about it. And honestly, the words that he did have about it, it wasn't about to his offense. It was to the rest of the league. Here's J-Ron Curse on the message to the rest of the NFL. Quote, "We ain't taking from nobody. All 32 teams, we ain't taking from anybody. Whether it's our offense or the next offense, we're trying to show we're the best in the business. So it gets spicy out here. It gets spicy on Sundays. It gets spicy on Mondays, Thursdays, whenever, wherever we line up. That's how we're gonna come. J-Rock not playing, man. Oh, by the way, a little bit of news from J-Rock. He saw his guys, Malik Hooker, Donovan Wilson, get new contracts this offseason. And J-Ron was kind of the only one, the lone man out in that room. Well, no more. They didn't add any more years or anything to his contract. However, yesterday it came down that J-Ron Kearse's contract has been fully guaranteed. So congratulations to J-Ron getting his $4 million guaranteed. Doesn't have to worry about if something happens. His base salary will be given to him no matter what. And that comes from Phil Yates. So not only did he have some words for the rest of the league, but he got some money to go along with it. Michael Parsons also touched on the chippiness at practice. He said this, quote, "Hell yeah, I need that. I'm here to make them better. I push myself to the greater good, and me pushing myself is only going to make them better. At the end of the day, I don't care who I'm up against. I don't care if it's Tyron, Zach, Tyler. I'm going to beat the hell out of them. It's only going to make them better. This is where championships get started, right here in camp. The goal is to bring that out and the camaraderie to bring it all together. It's only one goal at the end of the day." J-Ron also kind of piggybacked off of that as well, but not necessarily piggybacking off because these guys spoke separately. But he said, we're going up against a bunch of dogs. It's going to happen. You're going to get better too in the end. We're going to stand with each other. Come September, it's going to be a different team getting that. And that comes from Pat via Twitter. So, Cowboys Nation, we okay with this? How do you guys feel about the back and forth with the offense and defense from yesterday? So there are some. I've seen it on the Twitter sphere. I've seen it. People don't like this. Of course, you're going to have trolls. Oh, my God, they're fighting. They hate each other. I mean, to me, this is nothing. And the fact that it took this long is kind of wild. But how we feeling about this, Cowboys Nation? It was out there squabbling.
Yeah!
Tony said, we love it. It shows confidence on both sides. Sure. Swain says, shit, siblings fight. Do that mean we hate each other? Do you think we're going to see on the big networks breaking news? Micah Parsons does not respect Tyler Biadasz, who's the center for Dak Prescott. Thus, he does not respect Dak Prescott. Would not surprise me at all. CD Cowboys Nation said, we feel great. I love it. Kingpin said, man, I effing love it. Jack says, hey, battles build bonds. I like that. Anyone complaining about the fights never played sports before, says Danny. That's kind of where I'm at. I mean, look, even if you did play and you say this has never happened, hey, man, congratulations. Your team that you played on were saints. You know what I'm saying? They were saints. So good for them. But I've never played, not a single year of any, whether it be Little League all the way through high school, whatever, where you didn't have this happen at practice. Now, I will say this. Michael Parsons, gotta chill. We can't be throwing punches with your hand, big dog. We need that hand. We don't want it to be in that club for a couple months, right? So that's the only thing I would say about it. Is just don't throw the punches with your hands and hitting the helmet. I know they got the big bubble wraps on there now. Other than that, come on, man. We good to go, man. I do want to sneak one call in here because my good brother Ronnie, he'll be sitting here for a while he'll be sitting here until packets or so. Let me get you in here, Mr. Ronnie. Let me know how you feel, sir, about the camp fight yesterday.
Hey, good morning, and God bless you and your family.
Thank
and
you,
Boss family too, and the show like always. I'm glad because really show that we got heart, man. You know what I'm saying? Because it seems like that the other teams, they be coming in and trying to intimidate us. And I always believe like this is us against the world. You're not going to come in to intimidate me. Because the way I look at it, if you put them on like I put them on, homie, we got to get it on. You know what I'm saying? Nothing personal, but when you come at me, I got to come at you. And I like the way Michael Parsons, he defended his defense. So did
Sam Williams.
And also, and like you said, he got to watch his hand because you can't be hitting them helmets.
Hey,
and next thing you know, your hand will be busted.
You find that video. Hey, Ronnie, them jabs was looking good though. I ain't gonna lie to you. They looking good.
You know how we do in PA, yo. You know what I'm saying? Yo, we get it in quick.
Good. Oh yeah, 717. He was representing for sure, but he was taking some boxing classes this offseason with Dan Quinn, and you could kind of see a little bit of it there. I'm trying to find this video for y'all.
Yo, Quinn was kind of nervous. Quinn would probably say, "Hey, get down, but watch it, Mike, watch it, get down."
Yeah, like chill, anyway, chill,
brother,
yeah.
You know, my brother, I love you. I love this show and the family and the Box family and everybody. You keep up the good work.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate you, brother Ronnie. Hey, in the chat, I did see, because I thought the same thing. I cannot remember who it was in the chat. It just went by. Mario, I'm in Dallas, Texas now. I thought before I saw this angle, because all I saw yesterday was the second video of Michael Parsons and backing up, right? And Tyler Biotis was on the ground. It looked like he was asleep. So I assume, my bad, you assume make an ass out of you and me. I assume Michael Parsons hit him with a 3-piece combo with some biscuits and orange soda on the side and slept Tyler Biotis. That wasn't the case. So it went back, ended up seeing a different version of the video. What happened was he did hit him with a 3-piece or whatever. It might have been a 4-piece. But Sam Williams got revenge. Sam Williams came back through, and let me see if I can pull this up. He came back through, and he blindsided Tyler Biotis. So Tyler Biotis got a little taste of his own medicine. So it wasn't that Micah, that jab was nice though, but it wasn't that Micah knocked him out. I thought he knocked him out because I only saw Micah backing up, and Tyler Biotis was slept on the ground. So there you have it, man. I'm not tripping about this thing. It is these guys love each other. These guys push each other. This is exactly why I think Mike McCarthy elected to say no. Where my button at?
Motherfucker, for what?
Joint practices for what? Are the Raiders better than this defense? Nope. Let me pull a Draymond Green. The Broncos? Nope. The Rams? Nope. You're not going to really do a joint practice, I think, with the Niners. You can't. There's too much animosity there. The Niners defense would have been, but you're not going to do that. And the only reason why I bring these up because they're on the West Coast. So we're going to get the best of the best every single day with this defense. So there's no need for me to go elsewhere. And I'm okay with that. What's up, Steve? Got back surgery, man? Hope you recover, brother. Hope you have a smooth recovery. Nah, P. Ficus. Foots is not out there. Here's the thing about PFF. Hey, that's dope. I didn't even notice this. I did not even notice this. This is actually footage from the Cowboys. They should have been giving the Cowboys the credit, low key, because that's where it came from. Foots just took it from the Cowboys YouTube, that little clip of him throwing jabs, and then put it on Twitter. So I guess via Twitter, PFF is crediting Foots. But no. It's from the Cowboys YouTube page. But hey, man, Micah with the jab, brother. Micah with the jab. All right, Cowboys Nation, it is that time. Get your pens, get your papers out. Let's get to this science that our guy Patrick No-C Walker of DallasCowboys.com is about to give you.
I'm dropping science.
What's good brother? You dodging those haymakers?
What do you want to talk about?
I'm dropping science.
You're gonna get these hands.
Listen, I'm not dodging a damn thing because I'm not getting paid to dodge a damn thing.
Let me turn you up.
Yeah, I'm not getting paid to dodge a damn thing, so I'm not on the field dodging a damn thing. But I tell you what, yesterday, I mean, let me just say it this way. First and foremost, before we really start talking about it, is that, I mean, I've been sitting here watching these practices for almost 4 weeks now, and especially when the pads came on and, you know, all the jawing that's been going on and that we love, by the way. At a certain point, we just knew that there was a great likelihood that it would spill over. And it's funny because yesterday, after Mike McCarthy's official press conference, but before practice, we kind of had him out to the side talking about some things here and there. And the question was posed to him, how proud are you that the team has shown a ton of chippiness, but they've been able to walk that line successfully and not let it boil over to fighting. So Mike said, he kind of chuckled, and he was like, it's been wonderful unless you just jinxed it. And here we are.
Here we are. So, but you had a tweet, though, that I think is a greater point that may have been missed amongst all the haymakers and jabs being thrown. And this was your tweet. You said, the Cowboys' padded practice was everything I needed to see to fully grasp how ferocious both sides of the ball are in 2023, neither backing down and essentially ready to see other people, out there. Kind of elaborate a bit, because this isn't the only practice, man, that it's been chippy or it's been back and forth. This is kind of probably your collective thoughts here.
It is, and that's basically my summation of training camp. And for those that have followed through the Garrett era and things of that nature, a lot of questions were around, is the team soft, or are they competitive enough? Do they have that competitive fire enough to get to the promised land and hoist that 6th Lombardi trophy? And then coming into this offseason and this training camp, where were all the question marks lying? It was on the offensive side of the ball, because we knew the defensive side of the ball had dogs at every position, and then they go out and they get another dog in like Stephon Gilmore, and then they get another dog in Mozzie Smith in the first round. So they already had a kennel full of dogs, and then they went and got some more big dogs. So everyone's looking at the offense like, are you going to get pushed around? Are you going to match serve? Like, what's going to happen here? From day one, with the addition of Brandon Cooks and just a renewed, refreshed mindset of Dak Prescott and this offense with CeeDee Lamb and Gallup trying to bounce back, and Tony Pollard having something to prove on the franchise tag, Tyron Smith being back and being healthy the entirety of camp. Find some wood to knock on right now. Find some wood, okay? Zach Martin being back now finally, but every single rep has been just iron on iron. The defense has not been getting away with anything that has not been immediately returned to them by the offense. And I mean in intensity, I mean in trash talking, and I mean in impact in play. So, yes, for example, a 3-play set yesterday, and I posted it as a 2-play set, but there was a dead play in between. Play number 1, Dak Prescott pulls them off sides with the cadence. Free play, drops a dot into Michael Gallup, touchdown. 2 plays later, before that snap, I heard Trayvon Diggs saying, not this time. Trayvon Diggs, pick 6 the other way. That's been going on all camp. And then as Trayvon ran past Dak, he looked at him and said something. Couldn't pick out what he said, but he said something. But that's the fire that's been building this entire camp. And that's what you want to see from your defense and your offense. You want to see that your defense is going to stand up and challenge these guys and say, hey, we want you to give us your best, because if you don't, we're going to beat your ass. And then the offense is looking back and saying, unless you get your ass beat. So that's kind of exactly what you want to see. And then you look at the timetable of it all. We're now approaching, the finality of training camp, and then it all pops off. That tells me these guys are ready for fresh meat. It's a bunch of lions in a den, and they're starving. And at a certain point, what's going to happen is what happened yesterday. But for those that are saying, I saw a Giants fan with, funny little gif, and, they're looking at these fights, and they're saying, oh, this is great. No, that's the opposite of how you should feel. Because if it's like this between brothers, just imagine what's going to happen week 1 when they go to visit the New York Giants. All of that stuff starts pouring out. That's why I love what J-Ron Kerr said when he said, we're not taking any blank from any of the 32 teams. And then you pause for a second and was like, wait, he said 32. And then he looked back at us and he was like, all 32. We're not taking it from our own offense. We're not taking it from any other offense in the league. And come September 10th, every opponent has to get what we just gave our own offense. Bada boom, bada bang, let's play some ball.
I noticed that too, Pat. He said 32 teams. I'm like, I don't think that's
a
typo.
He said 32.
Yeah.
No, it was not a typo. He said it on purpose and repeated it. So I know I saw some people in the pro football Pro Football thread of that article, that aggregation saying, oh, well, it's only 32, it's only 31 other teams. His math is messed up. No, you're missing what he's saying.
Mm-hmm.
He's saying that the Cowboys defense is not taking blank from anyone, including his own offense.
It's about to get scary.
Daniel Jones, Daniel Jones and Jalen Hurts and you know, every other quarterback in the league, they're coming. Every other wide receiver in the league, they're coming. But contrarily, the offense feels the same way. This offense, and J. Ron Kerr said it as well. He said what our offense is getting from us, every other offense is going to have to get. What the defense is getting from our offense is the same thing every other team is going to get. So these guys are really just champing at the bit, even more so. I mean, like, they're drooling to get some fresh meat, and that fresh meat comes as early as September 10th. And then they got, you know, plenty of fresh meat after that. But yeah. I couldn't have loved it more, especially because everybody came out healthy.
Hey,
if Micah had hurt his hand, or someone, you know, or Sam Williams was hurt in the blindside hit by Tyler Biadasz, if anybody came out harmed, this is a much different conversation. But no one did. So let's play some football and put the pearls away. Stop clutching.
Facts, man. You mentioned health, and you had a chance to catch up with Jay Lou the other day, who remains on the PUP list. Can you tell us how he's feeling, and what's the chances of him coming off that PUP list?
There's a really good chance, as we had that conversation, he and I had the conversation, I want to say not 3 days ago. Now, keep in mind, Jay Lou and I have had multiple conversations. I think I check in with him every couple of days. Hey, how you feeling? How's the foot going? What's your latest in your rehab? So I think it was 2 or 3 days ago at the most that we talked. He said, hey, you know, no-see, I'm doing everything. These are his words. I'm doing everything. I'm running full speed. I'm cutting. There are no limitations on what I can do, but I'm trying to build my stamina up and get past the little bit of soreness that he gets when he's put through the paces, which makes sense because he's working his body, his foot, and his lungs back to NFL speed and NFL game speed. So he needs a little bit more time, but based on how he's describing it to me, it is a little bit more time, not a lot more time. So I believe he'll be medically cleared and escape the PUP list to start the season, which would sit him for 4 games. But, of course, we'll see how it plays along because there's still a little bit of time. He still has some rehab to go. And then when you still have some rehab to go, there's always the potential of a setback. But there have been no setbacks so far. And that means he's on a good track, a great track, actually, to be on the field for week 1. But let's cross our fingers and hope it stays that way.
Yeah, a player that returned yesterday that had been having a quiet camp, and maybe it's because of, you know, the injury to the shoulder, is Junior Fehoko, the 4th-round pick. He looked like he got back out there yesterday, Pat, and was getting after it a bit. How did he look, and does he have a chance to play on Saturday?
I think he plays on Saturday. If I'm gauging it by the eyeball test from yesterday, I mean, he was not limited. He was participating in both individual and team drills. And for those that may or may not know, he did miss the Jacksonville Jaguars game with that shoulder injury. He didn't even suit up at all. But earlier this week, Mike McCarthy was asked about Junior Fehoko's chances of playing against the Seahawks, and he said, quote, unquote, I hope so, looks like it. And then as the week goes on, you get to yesterday, and he's out there matching up against offensive linemen, and he was winning more often than not. You saw a couple of clips against him versus Josh Ball. First clip, the first rep, Josh Ball did win on the inside move from Fehoko. Fehoko did the outside recovery move, and he won on that move, and that's why Josh Ball had to reach around and basically hold him to kind of regain leverage, but Fehoko was still able to get what would have been a QB pressure, possibly a strip on the football. So Fehoko looked good. It looked great in yesterday's practice. I really hope we see him on the field on Saturday, and I don't see a reason why he wouldn't be on the field unless today there's some type of medical designation. Maybe Britt looks at the shoulder and says, hey, not quite yet, but as we have this conversation, I think he goes on Saturday.
All right, Pat, so I'm going to put you to the test here because Oxnard's over, right? You got a bunch of practices that happen there. You got a preseason game under wraps. We want to know, who do you think has earned more playing time heading into Saturday to show that they can either A, be on this roster, or B, have a role on this roster? Because I think those are two different things right there. So who do you think deserved or should be getting more playing time on Saturday to do one of those two things? because
Man,
it's a
that's
lot
a tough
of
one because you have
it's a lot of
you have so many tough decisions at so many positions. I'm going to do a two-part here.
Okay.
So two-part. Let's go to offensive line first. I liked what I saw, what I've been seeing lately from Matt Waletzko, especially one particular rep yesterday. I posted that on Twitter, Waletzko versus Dante Fowler, and he just completely walled off Fowler, including the spin move recovery attempt. I mean, his base was sound. His footwork was great. His ankle was there. His hand stayed in front, no holding. He didn't get grabby. So I like what I see so far from Waletzko. I would like to see him get more playing time tomorrow, Saturday, and I think that he will. Same goes for Matt Farniok. I think Matt Farniok needs some more work. Awesome Richards. I mean, let's just say offensive line. Let's say young offensive line. Let's say young offensive line. So that's part one of the answer. Part two of the answer, I'm going to go past John Stevens Jr. because he better make this team, and I'm going to go to defense. Let me see more of you said someone who really needs to show that they're going to be on the team,
well,
or that they need to make
someone
the team.
who's earned more playing time Saturday. So say they played, fourth quarter. Maybe we get a chance to see them in the first or second quarter with some starters, or someone who's earned a role. Or I guess it's too early, but you got all of Oxnard. You got one preseason game. Has anyone earned a role just quite yet, or earned more?
I tell you what,
Saturday?
Let's stick to offense then, because defense, I think defense is pretty set as far as who's to go. I mean, you could look at the linebacker depth, but I love what Jabril Cox and the Marvin Overshown are showing. Young safeties are stepping up big, so I think the defense is set. Offense, give me Malik Davis. Give me Malik Davis, because Rico Dowdle, for the second consecutive training camp, has had the lead on Rico in the battle for RB2. It was only a groin injury and ultimately a hip injury that ended that for Rico, but now Rico's back. He's healthy, the fumble notwithstanding. And then if you look at the fumble, there was all good going on in that fumble. Kavontae Turpin blocking that far downfield. But when you have that many guys in a phone booth on that 1 yard line, series of unfortunate events. But that notwithstanding, Rico bounced back from that mentally, and he averaged almost 4 yards per carry in fewer snaps than Malik Davis. He produced more in fewer snaps than Malik Davis. And he has the 44-yard return against the Jaguars. His burst was there. His vision was there. Malik, however, he had only 4 carries, but he averaged less than a yard in that game. We know what Malik Davis's potential is, but he's got to put it on film against the Seahawks and against the Raiders if he's to escape roster cuts. Now, of course, and I'll say this again, I believe Malik Davis has great potential to be an impact player in this league. But Rico Dowdle, in fact, does have the lead on him. And then you talk about Deuce Vaughn and what Deuce Vaughn brings to the table. So I'm of the mindset that the Cowboys are going to look to carry 3 running backs. Okay, well, to my calculation right now, before this upcoming game, that's Pollard, Dowdle, and Deuce Vaughn, which means Malik Davis is right there on that practice squad bubble, which is where he was last year before he ended up on the practice squad. So if Malik Davis wants to really rattle the cage and have the Cowboys reconsidering the Rico Dowdle decision, and that's not made yet, but that's what the front runner is. He's really going to have to make some waves against the Seahawks and against the Raiders.
Yeah, he's going to have to step it up. Now you blew right past John Stevens. Was it John Stevens? John Stevens Jr. Man, it's a John Stevens Jones.
He better make this roster.
Look, that's what I'm saying.
Because he better make this roster.
But that's what I'm saying, Pat. That's what I'm saying. So he better make the roster. You ain't carrying 5. You ain't got 20 minutes left here.
No.
So what you gonna do, real quick? Who is in? Who is out in that room?
That's going to be a hard decision because, like you said, they're not going to carry 5 tight ends. But then at the same time, what do you want the mix to be? Because, okay, you got Jake Ferguson, who to me, and I said this all offseason, and people saw more evidence of it against the Jaguars. Jake Ferguson is your starting tight end. Hey, let's just put that to bed.
Yeah.
At least for now. Because Schoonmaker, yes, he's your second-round pick, but he's coming back from plantar fasciitis, has to work his way back in. So I don't know that Schoonmaker will really compete for that starting role over the first half of the season, maybe not until year 2. But Schoonmaker's on the roster, obviously. Goes without saying, right? So that's 2. I love what Peyton Hendershot brings to the table. You saw that last year. He flashed. He's basically a receiver playing tight end, but then so is John Stevens Jr.
Yeah.
Difference being Peyton has more quickness, more speed, but John Stevens Jr. has more length, bigger catch radius, more of a red zone threat. I would love those four, but I know for a fact that the team loves Sean McEwen as well. How do they figure out that equation, especially with Sean McEwen probably being the better blocker of any of them? It's going to be very interesting. But then keep in mind, ladies and gentlemen, don't forget the practice squad is a thing as well. The only question is who are you willing to risk to waivers because you feel like they'll make it back to the practice squad. But the Cowboys have, in the past 3 or 4 years especially, done better, literally better than any other team in the league at building their practice squad full of players that they had on the roster before final roster cut down. So, yes, there are going to be some players like last year it was Malik Davis, and everyone, including myself, was like, no, you can't risk Malik Davis. You can't. And then they waived him. He cleared, and he was on the practice squad. So is John Stevens Jr. Another situation that mirrors what Malik Davis was last year? Possibly. Could Peyton Hendershot be a guy that happens to? I think it's less likely because he has actual NFL film, and he has positive plays on NFL film. So it'll come down to the wire when it comes to that. But talk to Lunda Wells, tight ends coach, on yesterday, and I asked him, and he was like, I want to keep him up. Of course you do. Those are your guys. But it's not going to happen.
It's never going to be easy, man. Science usually ain't easy, though. It's usually not easy. It's usually tough.
It's not. That's why you got to put the work in, baby.
Exactly, brother. Hey, appreciate you for coming through. I know you got some other obligations. We'll chat with you next week, Pat. But as always, man, fantastic stuff, brother. Much love from us, Cowboys Nation.
One love, fellas. Talk to y'all later.
Salute. That is Patrick No Seawalk coming through every week. Coming through for our chat on the scientific method, man. A lot of good stuff right there. I honestly, I can't wait till we're done with Oxnard. That way we can get Pat in here full time. When I say full time, I mean longer, right? We get Pat longer and talk to him more about what he's seeing, at practice. Because once the season starts, there will be times where it's only media availability. We can't really get access to that. And then obviously just the inside stuff that he's hearing and seeing and who he's speaking with. It is going to be extremely valuable once we get to the season. I promise y'all. So y'all make sure y'all stay locked for that. We're going to pick up that tight end conversation. We're definitely going to do that. I know we've been talking about it all week, but I think it's worthy because it may have turned into the toughest battle on that offensive side of the ball, even tougher than the running backs and the wide receivers. It might be the tight end room. So grab a quick drink. We're going to take a quick break, and we're going to come back and pick up our conversation on depth chart risers and depth chart fallers.
You're listening to A to Z Sports.
Do it live!
At some point, hoping to broadcast
In front of the millions
of Cowboys fans to bring you the real. But for now, strap up and here's your host, Skywalker Steele.
I'm Luke Skywalker. I'm here to rescue you.
We'll do it live.
We are live on this beautiful Thursday. Just got done chatting with Pat No Walker. If you are just tuning in, you missed it, but it's all good. We will have that run back probably Saturday, likely Saturday morning, or you can just be part of the running back game. Phone line 351-999-3787 is the call in line to talk about whatever you want, whether it be the squabbling, whether it be the depth chart, whether it be individual players, it does not matter. But let's get into that. I want to start on the offensive side of the ball. By the way, you're probably like, well, Sky, why is this the same depth chart as before? Well, the Cowboys did drop a depth chart. They absolutely did. But nothing changed. They dropped one, I think it was Monday, and nothing changed. So it's an unofficial depth chart, right? So we'll review essentially what we saw a couple weeks ago. And I want to start right back at that tight end position because I think it's going to be tough. You're not carrying 5 guys, so what do you do? Without looking deep into the position, I think it's extremely easy to say, oh, Sean McEwen. Sean McEwen. He's not uber athletic. He's not a, seam buster. This isn't a high draft pick, undrafted free agent. He's been around for 3 years. Not a guy that is going to wow you as a receiver, right? Easy when you look at it without diving into it, without the science. The problem is there is some context behind that. And it's the fact that McEwen can do so many different things for you. Special teams, right? Coming out the backfield, in line, detached. He's kind of the move around guy that if you don't carry a fullback, he can do those things. Well, Luke Schoonmaker can do that. Sure, can he? Do they want him to? Or do they want Luke Schoonmaker to develop into the actual tight end that gets down the field and plays in line or spreads out as opposed to being in the backfield? That's something to think about as well. I think the easy thing to say is Sean McEwen. Also, another reason to say Sean McEwen, if I'm going to talk on both sides here, he's probably easier to get back on the practice squad. And I bet that's something that they're thinking about here. Because if John Stevens, there's 2 more games left, right? John Stevens is going to probably play in both. Let's talk about both possibilities. If John Stevens goes out there and he has 2 good games where we're talking first or second, third quarter as opposed to the last 3 minutes, like he's stacking good days on good days, it's going to be really hard to fathom him going through waivers and not being picked up. However, if he goes out there and he does not stack those days, then the conversation shifts and flips upside down on his head where, okay, maybe it was just a 1-game thing. There is something there. Are we able to sneak him on a practice squad? So there's still things you have to take into account before we get to picking who's going to make this roster and who's not from that spot. If it wasn't for sponsorship, I would feel so much more. I'd have more belief that Peyton Hendershot should be looking over his shoulder. Y'all know that's what I think it is. I think it's Peyton and John that you are going to go back and forth with. But you got the sponsorships with Peyton Hendershot, number one. And yes, like Pat said, he has played in regular season games. He's done things. He's moved around. He's made some plays. He's also been inconsistent catching the rock, right? Up and down camp or whatever. And you got Luke Schoonmaker, who's a 2nd-round pick, I think is going to be a better blocker, if not a better blocker now than he is. So I think he's kind of your tight end 2, right? He's a prototypical tight end 2. So if I had to say right now, Cowboys Nation, to me, I'm still of the belief is Hendershot and Stevens. If we're just talking about swapping guys in that room, if we're talking about who can you get on the practice squad a little easier, possibly Sean McEwen. So I can be moved, man. This isn't one of those situations where I'm 10 toes down on it. This room is so competitive, and let's see a couple more games, get some more practices down there in the Star, and it's going to be tough. We're going to get to the end of August, and we're going to have to make a decision here, and I think that room is going to be the toughest one to make at this moment. Let's see what y'all feeling, man. 301. You are live. What's good?
Hey, what's up, Sky? This Rock, man.
What's up, Rock?
Hey, just want to say, man, your show is wonderful.
Thank you,
Congrats
sir.
on all the success you guys are having. You and Vach and the whole crew bringing No C on. I love No C. When it comes to the tight end, I have a lot of the same thoughts that you guys have. I think John Stevens is what we all are hoping Hendershot is, in my opinion.
Interesting.
He's a down the field tight end, catches the ball really well, ex-receiver. But when it all boils down, I think something that you just clarified earlier, McEwen is just going to be easier to get back on the practice squad, in my opinion.
I think so too.
I think that's probably where you're going to go. The mix of tight ends, when you're talking about Schoonmaker, you're talking about Ferguson, they're your kind of do everything type players. And then you got Hendershot and Stevenson that are, you're detached down the field, ball catching. And that's just a good mix. So, even if you lost McEwen
on waivers, I don't think that room would lose as much if you put John Stevens on the practice squad. You lost him. I think you'll be losing just a little bit more for what this team, the building of the team has become. I think you're just going to get a really good mix if you keep those four and just let McEwen, maybe he makes it back from the practice squad, maybe he doesn't. He's had 3 years to prove it. So,
I love what you said there. You said you don't think the room is going to lose much. That's a great point to bring up, and it makes you think, because if McEwen's not on this roster, your tight end room probably isn't affected that. And even let me just say this: even if John Stevens is not on this roster, your tight end room is not affected that much. But here's the difference: John Stevens, you have development, right? You got 3 years of development if he makes this team that you can add on to, and if Peyton Hendershot doesn't live up to it, right? He's kind of that seam buster, move around, former tight end, athletic guy you can throw in there to be a wild card guy, or maybe, down the line, does he compete with other guys in a year or two, right? But with McEwen, I think he is what he is, right? We know what he's going to be, kind of that tight end 3, do some fullback things, tough, gritty, veteran-ish type of guy where you can, no offense to McEwen, you can probably get some of those. You could probably get a tight end 3 that could do some blocking and some fullback things. But if you are high on the development and the athleticism of a John Stevens, likely somebody else might be too. So it could be a bit riskier to put him through the waivers. And again, this happens every year, bro. We say this and people get picked up, but we're just speaking on what we got right now, the data we have. It does seem like it'd be more riskier to put Stevens out there as opposed to McEwen.
True. Thanks for all the information, man. Appreciate the show.
Yes, sir. Salute. Yeah, I mean, that's a good point. I don't think you're going to be – your tight end room loses a whole lot. What it does lose is he's been around, but I think you could get him back. I think you can get him back. But the thing is, though, and let me know how y'all feel about this, because I like McEwen. They probably like Hendershot more, but I'm not – trying to make sure I say this without I'm just not all the way sold on Hendershot. Like, is this necessity? Let me talk to you. Like, he cool. But they went out and they got Luke Schoonmaker. Luke Schoonmaker's back. He's healthy. Hopefully he stays healthy. The only thing I will say about the whole Peyton Hendershot thing is that if somebody were to go down, Hendershot's been around. Bars. Hendershot was here last year. He has actual game reps. But, man, he dropped a lot of balls last year. He's okay. He got better as a blocker. He got better, but I would not say he's a blocker. But to me, Peyton Hendershot is not. If he was the one to oddball out, I wouldn't be tripping at all. Because I do think you have a replica version with probably a higher ceiling in John Stevens Jr. So I'm just talking. Am I tripping by saying, hey, if it's Hendershot, cool. I'm not really tripping about that. But I get if they say, well, we want to keep him around because he can probably get picked up off of waivers, given he's only had a year in the league. He's got some footage where he's done some wide receiver things, move around things. Maybe a team wants to pick that up. I personally think I'd value McEwen, But that's again, this can be moved. This is a tough conversation, man. Let's get a good call. Danny Savage on the horn. What's good?
Good morning, Sky. Glad I caught Walker. I always love when he's on the show.
Yeah.
Patrick C. Walker. Listen, when it comes to the tight end group.
No C.
Say it again?
It's Patrick No C. Walker.
No C. Walker. Okay, I got it. Got it. The prior caller said he kind of said Hendershot and Stevens was kind of the same. I don't know. I don't see them the same. I see Stevens as a bigger, more athletic type of tight end receiver. And we all know Big Mike loves those big tight ends in Green Bay. For all those years, he had the Martellus Bennett's, Jermichael Finley's, Graham.
He's not that big. He's not that big. But can I clarify what we mean probably when we say the same role? These aren't guys that are blocking tight ends. These are guys that are, get out up the field. Your receiving style tight ends. That's what Peyton Hendershot is. Peyton Hendershot, you will not mistake him for Jake Ferguson or Luke Schoonmaker. John Stevens, you're not going to mistake him for Jake Ferguson or Luke Schoonmaker. So that's, I think, what we mean by quote unquote the same. Yeah. We should say similar. Is that they'll be playing similar roles, if that makes sense.
Yes, agree with you 100%. Also, I think this year, I don't know why the NFL did it, but there's going to be a lot of mistakes made through all 32 teams, because this year we're going from 90 players to 53 in one day.
I know.
It's not like in years past. I hate it. I hate it a lot.
Yeah, when's that date? Let me get that.
Because in years past, it was like 10 here, 10 there, 10 here, 10 there. You can sit down, have a lot of coaches meetings about players. Now it's like,
but you know what though,
chopping
Danny?
block.
You know what though, bro? I think it's not as bad as we probably making it though, because here was the issue with the cut down dates is that you had to cut them down like each preseason game. So you get into preseason game 3 and 4, and you're still having to play dudes that are going to play special teams or be second or third stringers in real games, and you're risking them to injury. Now, if I'm not mistaken, if I look at the schedule, y'all let me know, I don't think you're going to have to do that now. I think you can actually play all your preseason games with your 89th and 90th player and then make the cut, not risking certain players to injury. So now that I think about it, it might not be that bad, bro.
I know, but then how about you say some of those guys go off that third preseason game? There's going to be a lot of decisions.
Then good, right? Then you get an extra game to be evaluated. So I think I just talked myself out of it. Yeah.
Well, I just have a fear with Dallas's practice squad this year that we're going to get raided because we got a lot of talent, and like I personally think Bostic and Bass, they're not going to make the practice squad. Somebody will snatch them off. I personally think they will get snatched. So they're either going to have to make the 53 or go to IR. The kid Land, the defensive end, I think he's a perfect candidate for IR. Put him up, let him gain some weight. I just got it. McEwen, I don't see a lot of teams wanting an injury-prone 4-year tight end in the league who's always hurt. So I would put him to the practice squad. And I'm going to land the plane. I'm going to go back to my old school routes of day 3 Danny.
It's too early for day 3 Danny, bro.
Don't laugh. No, you're going to love this one. You're going to love this one. This kid's nickname is the Godfather. His name, his actual name, you can Google it, is Dante Corleone. He plays nose guard for Cincinnati. He's 6'3", 330, size 18 shoe with 11-inch hands. And he's a monster. So
I'm here to tell you right now, we don't care. Let me tell you, we don't care.
Danny, we got Cowboy football on Saturday in August.
And I just had to give you a day 3 guy for next year. I had to close it out on that. And I hope nobody gets injured Saturday night. That's all I'm saying.
Facts.
And I'm landing the plane. I'm out of here.
All right,
I'm looking forward to your wrestling show.
Salute, Danny.
Latest guy. Great shows always.
Danny. I'm telling you, Danny, you need to make a YouTube channel called Day 3 Danny, dedicated to college scouting. Because I'm with all due respect, we don't care about a day 3 prospect in August. At least I don't. When we talk, we got Cowboys football, baby. We got Cowboys football, Danny. So you know I'm messing with you. But yeah, man, bring up Don Corleone, the Godfather, in February. Got you. I got you, bro. I got you. Yeah, man, that rule change. I had to go over here and look at. I'm not actually that bad. I'm not down on it no more. I'm not down on it as much as I was when the conversation first started. He said he thinks Bass and Bostic won't make it to the practice squad. I'm not so concerned about Bostic here. I think Bass has put on a little bit better tape so far, but we got 2 more games. I mean, if Bass goes out there and Bostic goes out there and look like trash, then yeah, they'll make it to the practice squad. If they don't, then they won't. Well, I shouldn't say they won't. Let me not say that, because I think it was Professor Rowe who said over 1,100 players hit the market at once. And he said that'll make it easier for guys to sneak through. That is another thing that makes it very interesting, right? Like, you're not making cuts each preseason game. It's at once. So you might have a dude sneak by that you're not thinking about. And another thing, we do this every single season. So-and-so is not going to make it. So-and-so ends up making it. 1,100 and something players to sift through. That's a lot. And I know there's people that get paid to not miss out on these guys. But that's going to make it tougher, man. It's going to make it tougher. The Guru said, is Brock Hoffman pushing Forniak? Sounds like Brock Hoffman is Brock. I got to say it like that. Hoffman is pushing somebody. I don't know if it's necessarily Forniak because he has a lot of experience. But remember, we don't have a ton of depth inside. You could literally, here we go. We're looking at the depth chart right now. You could probably say Forniak, Hoffman, and Richards are your interior guys. Now, Josh Ball, who again, he's kind of our punching bag. Josh Ball split some reps with TJ Bass. I'm taking TJ Bass. Y'all know how I feel. But you could legitimately say, between Forniak, Brock Hoffman, Austin Richards, and TJ Bass, you could roll with that. So is he pushing somebody? Maybe a Ball, but the difference is Ball's not playing center. Hoffman's going to do center things. Forniak has that kind of swing thing going for you. And then Austin Richards, your 5th round pick with the most upside of all those dudes. So he's not going anywhere. So that interior depth, if we talk about depth chart risers and fallers, to me, right there, right guard, y'all. TJ Bass, Josh Ball. I want to see Bass early. I want to see him early. I want to see Austin Richards kind of stick to one. Look, I don't mind him having that position flex. You need that, but I really like the prospects of Austin Richards kind of forming into your left tackle of the future down the road. When I say down the road, possibly next year, and you can keep Tyler Smith at guard, so he's not bouncing back and forth. If it's going to be the opposite, if the plan is to put Tyler Smith at left tackle, then let's see Austin Richards gain some steam at guard. But either way, I kind of want to see him play a full game at one spot or the other. Maybe it's not this week, but next week. But to me, the easy riser and faller on the depth chart on the interior, TJ Bass, Josh Ball. Easy. Let's get 931. What's good, 931?
Not much. How you doing, Sky?
I'm doing fantastic, brother. How are you?
I'm all right. So I was wondering about. So I'm trying to figure out if Stevens is going to be one of them things that's we are good. We got a nice little hype story right now, and then he turns into Rico Gathers. Like, is that like a possibility? Because like we've seen this before. Like I've watched us like have these super athletic guys that eventually just kind of like fizzle out. So what about Stevens kind of like sways us from saying he's not going to be like Rico and more or less of something else?
I think Rico might be the wrong comparison. The Rico situation is what you're saying, like hype and then doesn't pan out to be nothing. Because Rico Gathers hadn't played football since he was in 8th grade. So his trajectory was extremely hard. And then he played a position that requires you. It's a lot. Like, I always try to point this out. Tight end is not easy to get right away. I don't care if you're a 1st-round pick or not. That's why you see the bust rate so high. That's why you see the production rate so low from tight ends that are asked to do things in line and out and not just be a pure wide receiver tight end. So if we're talking about a guy like John Stevens, who I still believe, I'm not ready to just throw out there as tight end 1 or 2, contrary to popular belief on Twitter, not you, but I'm looking at him as, hey, he just converted to tight end. Let's continue to develop him, and then we will reevaluate, next year or in the middle of the year if he's showing fast progression. So I don't think they're the same. I think Rico Gathers was a 6th-round pick, so he stuck around for a few years, but he just never clicked for him. The way it seems like it's clicking for John Stevens. If you're worried about John Stevens just being a camp hype guy, then that's just what you're worried about. I don't think I would compare it to Rico. Rico barely was even a camp hype guy. He might have made a big catch here and there, but from a progression standpoint, he struggled, I think, to stack good days.
That's fair. It's I think that's like one of my main things is that like I had being that Rico had like everybody was like the flashes, kind of like the TJ Vasher type of situation.
Vasher, there you go. That's the one right there.
Because it was like everybody's like, yo, this dude is gonna be that dude, and never happened. So like I'm cautiously optimistic about this situation with Stevens. I think that he does give you that.
So what's your name, bro?
Neil.
Neil? So Neil.
Yeah.
I think what you got to do, right, and that's why our shows are very important. TJ Vasher is a very perfect example here. Did we have fun with the Vasher highlights? Absolutely. Were they spectacular? The catches, the mosses, the red zone 1-on-1s? Absolutely. But I don't know if you were listening last year on the show, bro, when we brought on guys like, who was it? Kyle Yeomans and other people that were down there. Or just when I was down there my damn self. If you watched them or you got the videos or you talked to people that were down there, they all said, oh, man, spectacular catches, but he's got a long way to go. He can't get off the line of scrimmage. His routes are slow. He doesn't know how to, get to the stem and make guys. There were way more things to worry about with TJ Vasher than the highlights that were kind of overshadowing his progression. So that's why I think these type of shows are important because we'll point that out. Yeah, cool. TJ Vasher, awesome. But he's not, in regards to highlights, but he's not progressing. I'm not hearing those things about John Stevens. I'm not hearing him having trouble doing the little things at the position. So I think there's something to say, hey, there might be something here with John Stevens, Neil. Maybe it's not throw him out there right now in year 1, but from a developmental standpoint, I'm definitely intrigued.
That's fair because like I've noticed and like I've been paying attention to your show. Like I've called in a couple times or 2 or more, and between you and Vach and like listening along and whatnot, and like hearing what y'all have to say about, the bubble players and whatnot. So that's why I do question or why I have, these questions pertaining to certain stuff, especially since like I'm going back and forth. There's certain times where I have to go gaps in times between doing Army stuff and whatnot and coming back into the loop. And next thing I hear, John Stevens just kind of popped up out of nowhere.
I hear you.
I'm like, all right.
It sounds like big hype. Yeah, I feel you.
Yeah. And then the other, there was like, there's 1.5 more things. I just was wondering why Isaac Al Capone. I know I'm not saying his name appropriately, but I can't.
I love that Isaac Al Capone.
I'm trying to figure out like what happened with him because he's there, but he's not there. I mean, he's like that guy that got pushed around, like get out my way from Sam Williams. He's like move out the way and whatnot. But like I remember earlier, prior to camp. They were talking about him moving to D-line, and then like that never happened.
No, he's on defensive line.
He is? Because like I haven't heard anything from him, so I'm like I don't know what's happening with that. So
that tells you everything you need to know.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough. And then the last thing, like the last like true question, what is going on as it pertains to? So I know that McCarthy is running all the plays and whatnot, and he's getting his help from Schottenheimer. Does this mean that he's more or less just he's going to be in charge of everything, and just like with some input from Schottenheimer, is he just going to be the person that's implementing his offense, and like taking advisory and then just tossing that over to Dak and letting him do everything, or like is this just going to be like the Mike McCarthy show wholeheartedly?
It's definitely the Mike McCarthy show, but Brian Schottenheimer and McCarthy have a relationship and a philosophical alliance where it wasn't the same previously, right? There was clearly philosophical differences between him and Kellen Moore, but that's not the case with Shotty. Shotty knows, he even said, he says, hey man, I know what Mike McCarthy is looking for. I know what he wants. And he's going to push back, right? He's going to say, hey, Mike, this ain't that. This ain't it. You know, and Mike needs that. Everybody needs that. You know what I'm saying? Everybody needs to have somebody that can tell you no, can tell you when you got a boogie in your nose, right? And I think that Brian Schottenheimer is going to be that guy. And have you listened to him, bro? Like, he got this. When I hear him talk, man, it gets me a little pumped up. So I said this the other day on the show, like having Schottenheimer be that filter between McCarthy and the quarterbacks, I think is going to be great for this quarterback room and great for Mike McCarthy, because McCarthy is still, at the end of the day, is a head coach. So he has to manage the game while also making sure that, hey, you know, this next series, I picked up on the tendency. I got to make sure that this next series of plays, these family of plays, makes sense to beat or to combat what the Giants or the Jets are going to do. So I love this. I love having a guy like Schottenheimer be that filter for McCarthy. I think that, what's the cat's name from the Chiefs? Eric Bieniemy. I think Eric Bieniemy was the Brian Schottenheimer to Andy Reid. You know, kind of that filter. And sometimes Bieniemy apparently, you know, had some input in the play calling or might have called some plays here and there. I don't think Schottenheimer's going to do that, but it wouldn't shock me if something ever happened to McCarthy's back flares up on him again, or he get COVID or something like that, where Schottenheimer can call the plays no problem. So, you know, I think there'll be input. They talked about in the offseason, they worked tirelessly, very hard at tweaking this offense to make it a McCarthy offense, right? So, you know, Schotty knows what he's doing, but it's not Schottenheimer's but Schottenheimer will have, you know, his opinions on it when it needs to be.
I'm glad to hear that, because like as opposed to like what we were hearing like during the first 2 years and it being like Mike McCarthy is, you know, Jerry Jones's lapdog, basically just there to nod his head and say, "Got you." Mm-hmm. So like I'm good to hear. I'm glad to hear that where he's actually going to be. It's his footprint and whatnot. I appreciate, you know, you taking the call and whatnot. You know, everything that you, Foots, Botch, Law, all those guys. I thought it was funny. Like, there was a show a couple weeks ago. Y'all was talking about Kellen Moore and his 4 comebacks, and then all of a sudden the next day there was I think it was Boss Cowboy Talk that that posted a clip of the Chargers running their touchdown play, and it was literally the 4 comeback route. So I was like, oh, well, there you go. San Diego, you got what you got. So appreciate your time, man. Absolutely. And I'll definitely be listening to you and Vach later on. And, again, appreciate it. And good luck with all the rest of y'all stuff. I'll be looking forward to y'all whenever y'all go over to training next week. All right, man. Thank you, Neil. Hey, nice little segue there. That's right. We will be at Cowboys training camp Tuesday, Wednesday, and I'll be there Thursday. We'll be staying at the Omni, which is connected right there. I'm still trying to find a way to finesse a way to have a live show right down there in the Omni, either lobby or out there on the patio, so we guys can interact with y'all. But man, I'm so excited to do that. Didn't get a chance to go to Oxnard, but we'll be watching all the training camp practices here at the Star, and I'm pretty sure our content brothers and sisters will be down there as well, and you'll be able to catch us on 105.3 The Fan on the Get Right with Reg and KG, as long as that continues to go through. But yeah, next week is going to be fun. Yeah, Schottenheimer and McCarthy. I'm excited for this relationship. I think it's going to work. Me and B Bird talk about confrontation sometime. I'm not saying they're going to have confrontation, but if there is, I think it'll be healthy. I think McCarthy tried to do a little bit of that last year, and it was healthy. You got to the point where you had to reel Kellen in a little bit, and it worked out early on in the season. But I do think it's funny he brought up the all four curl routes in LA with the Chargers. The very first play of the game against the Jaguars was all 4 curl routes in that game. Trolling, maybe, I don't know, but you did see, and if Marcus is in the chat, you know, Marcus said, "Hey man, I want to look at some of the
the concepts and this and that. And I was like, it's going to be hard to, in game plan or play calls, it's going to be hard to gauge anything. You just want to see kind of the basic principles. And I thought you saw that. I thought you saw, you saw a couple slant flat plays drawn up. You saw some over routes. You saw, hell, the play to Jalen Tolbert. If we can find it here, I mean, it's in the highlight. The play to Jalen Tolbert was a play that, shit, y'all see anything like that last year that much? I mean, the concept in general got him open. It created that wide open window on the back end. Now, granted, it's against the Jacksonville Jaguars, but, in their second team unit. But the concept is what I was looking at. And having that scissors concept with Turpin on, the inside of him in the fantastic route by Jalen Tolbert. But I didn't see too many of these type of routes last year where we're putting stress on the deep defender. You know what that would have been last year? An option route. I guarantee. Tell me when I'm lying.
Tell me when I'm telling lies.
I guarantee you, this would have been that play. Stop me if I'm lying. Whoever was far right would have ran a curl. Whoever was that Tolbert? Okay, Tolbert. Tolbert would have ran a option, meaning read the safety, you go behind him, go in front of him, cross face, whatever. And then that inside guy probably would have did was Tolbert. Slot guy would have probably did a motion or maybe he would have did a whip route. We ain't run a bunch of those. But maybe he would have did some type of out route. How much you want to bet that would have been the play? Curl, option, probably another option. Curl. I bet you, bro. I bet you. But instead, we got a scissors concept. That puts stress on that defender back there. Jay said, I'm sick because you're right. There go Marcus. What's good, Marcus?
Priest, God, Priest. How you doing, man?
What's up, brother? How you doing?
I'm good, my G. I'm good. Hey, man, I love it whenever Patrick's on, man. He goes about the business. Let us know what's up. So,
hey, Marcus, can you do me a favor? A little bit muffled, brother. It sounds like you got like a T-shirt over top of your phone and you're trying to talk through it.
Uh-oh. Is that any better? No.
We'll get through it. I'll let you go through with your point, and then we'll answer it off the phone. I mean.
No. If I need to get better, tell me. If I need to get better, how's that?
That's a little bit better. Yeah, that's a little bit better.
That's a little bit better. Hey, man. Just a couple of things. I like the point you made about Schottenheimer and McCarthy working together and having filtering each other out and stuff like that. And like I said, I haven't had a preference for either one of them, whichever one of them want to call the play. As long as they're both, communicating, they're both, understanding what it is they want to do, and they can iron this stuff out. It kind of on the side, I always thought that one of the reasons why Eric Bieniemy wasn't getting job looks as he was the OC over there in KC. So I guess like 4 years, he wasn't going to get a lot of credit for two reasons. One, because of Patrick Mahomes. And two, because no matter how often Andy Reid would stand up in front of people and say that Eric Bieniemy was running the offense and calling the plays, and I believe Andy Reid every time he said that, no matter what Andy Reid would say, everybody kind of had the feeling that was Andy Reid's playbook that Eric Bieniemy was running and calling from.
Oh, for sure.
So there can be, yeah. So that was always going to be a kind of a hedge in there for Bieniemy, and he wasn't ever going to get a look unless he took.
The conference has been locked.
Andy Reid's play calling is and how distinctive it is. Even if Eric Bieniemy is running the offense and whatnot, Andy Reid, it's still his offense. So that's kind of the sidebar for that for me. But I'm just loving all that stuff in practice. That reminds me of something Tyron said. When they started out there, that they were going to, Tyron Smith, he doesn't talk that much at all. So it was big. Everybody pointed it out. It was big whenever Tyron said something.
He didn't even want to talk in that interview.
Yeah. He doesn't talk. And he said something about the line we're going to get back to attacking people and, hitting first and things like that. So, just seeing some of that aggression from the offensive line, even though it's twos and threes and whatnot, it's good to see. That's a mindset and the tone, and that's not a bad thing. Of course, you don't want nobody get hurt and stuff like that. Even though the boys will be boys, But I like the fact that Biotis, did that. You can't. I heard people say, "Hey, look, like it was a cheap shot on Sam." Whatever. No, it wasn't. They out there. It's gonna be snap like that, and iron sharpening iron gonna cause some sparks. So that's fine with me. The larger point is that they're being aggressive, and the whole mindset and tone is changing over there.
Indeed, I believe it is.
They're gonna pitch instead of catch. So I'm definitely cool with that. Man. So
I'm with you, Marcus. Hey, dog. I appreciate the call, good brother. We actually going to talk a little bit more about some of those practice notes that came out of Oxnard in the final practice.
Okay, man. Hey, I can't wait to hear from you. Have a good trip when you go up there, man. All
right, brother. Peace. Let's go ahead and get into these practice notes. Kyle Yeomans, once again, I just love when Kyle Yeomans drops these practice notes. Fantastic stuff. He says, practice note number 12, fix my mic. Chippy and spirited throughout, 2 significant scuffles, no injuries, a ton of intensity. Really thought the O-line succeeded in one-on-one reps. That's what we were shown a little bit of earlier. Not so much in team drills. You get an ass whooped out there. And I think that's why Tyler Biotis and Brock Hoffman tired of it. Simi Fehoko had a great day. Multiple nice grabs. Linebackers flew around. Feoko's going to need to continue to carry this over on Saturday because he's fighting for his life. The linebackers flew around. Micah Parsons. Did y'all see that rep? I'll bring up the rep one more again. Let me see here. Hold on, one more time. Not you, Tober. Not you. I don't want you. I don't want you either. Jeez. I ended up tweeting after I saw that. Micah Parsons is the best in the business. Argue with your mama. He's going to be a menace, an absolute terror this year. But anyway, Micah Parsons was unstoppable after the scuffles. Added emphasis on feeding Deuce Vaughn in the passing game. The Deuce Vaughn needs to be a guy that's going to get the rock at least 7 to 10 to 12 times, I think, weekly, man. Straight up. It's going to help TP too. Mozzie Smith was active inside with Jonathan Hankins and Quentin Bohanna, and lots of veteran leadership showing up in the intensity, including Dak Prescott going over there doing the hands to the neck on Micah Parsons and say, hey, come on, young fella, you got to chill out. So nothing came out of it. Nobody got hurt. Nobody hates anybody out of there. It's just football intensity that picked up. That's what's going to happen, man. When you got, like you said, dogs out there that's going to try to make you better day in and day out. Now, on the defensive side of the ball, he talked about Mozzie was active with Jonathan Hankins and Quentin Bohanna. I'm still of the belief I'm not getting rid of any, well, obviously not getting rid of Mozzie or Jonathan Hankins, but I'm not ready to move on from Q. Is it an overcorrection to have 3 big boys like that to stop the run? Maybe. But let me ask you this. Would you rather overcorrect it or risk the chance of maybe having one guy? Look, Jonathan Hankins is on a 1-year deal. He's 31 now. He gets nicked up here and there. I wish nothing but health. I hope he plays all 17. But I wouldn't be mad to have a guy like Quentin Bohanna just right there just in case. Or when it's 3rd and 1 and you want to run that quarterback sneak with your running quarterback, or you want to get on the goal line and try to run, I got 3 big hosses up front to push it. So I'm still not ready. To move off from Q. I'm going to need somebody else to go crazy. And we talked about this the other day, Neville Gallimore, who saw all the chatter after the game, went and watched the film. I saw none of that during the first half of that game. So we want to see Neville. Neville's probably going to make this team, though. They're probably going to hit Fiocco with a, hey, dog, your foot hurt. We're going to put you on IR. Chauncey Golson, I know I feel about that situation as well. He's kind of one of those X factor players in the sense of I can move around, my versatility. This defense is all about versatility. You keep him around. You're just going to have to be deep. I think you just go deep. You go long at defensive line. You just do. You just do. Well, Scott, what about Isaiah Land? I know. That's the thing, man. That's the thing, man. It's not going to be easy. Now, the question when I asked Patrick Nosey Walker, I said I was trying to get him to kind of say, "Hey, Isaiah Land, who has been playing well at camp? Who came out of that game and said, I want to see more reps early?" Land is the clear guy here from that third or fourth team. He's the clear guy. I want to see him against some of the second team guys, maybe some of the first team guys, and see if he can say, "Hey, look, man, I know we're going deep at defensive line, but you got to go deeper. You got to go deeper." Because one thing that I am worried about, I'm not worried about a guy like Bostic going through the way. The offensive linemen in general, it ain't a bunch of them. And look, he ain't one of them guys anyway. But Isaiah Land is a pass rusher that has some high-level traits pass rushing. Somebody take one look at that, and it's a wrap. So I just want to make sure, he's out there and he can do it against some of these better competition. By the way, microphones sound good, too loud, too low. Make sure we're good to go here. John from Portugal. It has been a minute since I spoke to John from Portugal, man. How you doing, man?
Good, really good. It's been a little while. I'm glad we're getting back into the real deal here. It's amazing.
I know.
I like your point of view about going long at the DL. I think it's really good. A, and B, I think there's a kind of thanks to DQ figuring out how to hybrid a bunch of players in the defensive backfield and the linebacker core. I think that McCarthy has also done the same thing on the offensive side. And so I think there's a way pretty easily, actually, to keep a lot of DL. I really do. Because, let me see, I think Stevens, for example, who's a hybrid wide receiver tight end, you could go 5 wide receivers if you went 4 tight ends, Stevens as the 4th tight end. See, then you'd have.
Hey, John, hold on. Stay right there because that's interesting. Stay right there. So I thought you were going to say go 5 at tight end because of the 4. So I think they're going to go 4 anyway, John.
Yeah.
I think they're going to go.
Cool.
Yeah, I think they're going to go 4 tight ends anyway. Let me look at these receivers real quick. Brandon, Michael Gallup, C.D. Lamb, Jalen Tolbert, and you're saying just one more. So between Kevontae Turpin, between Turpin, Brooks, and Fayoko. 5. So
but I would say go Turpin, and here's why. Because if you go way down to the DBs, you'll notice that Jerome Kearse is also a linebacker. And Marquise Bell is also a linebacker. So if those 2 guys are defensive backs and you keep 5
Jerome
linebackers.
Yeah!
Exactly. You secretly have 7 linebackers on the team, even if you're only technically carrying 5. And you're also carrying 10 DBs plus Lewis on pup. So you got basically 11 DBs. That's going long, but you're going long in the talent areas, right? The DL's got 11 guys, right?
Yeah, that's where I was going to go, John. I was going to say maybe you go light at line. Let me see. Let me just go back here now. Maybe you go light at linebacker. Let me see who we got. Not this one. This is offense. Let me go back to the depth chart for defense. You got Mike. Well, I hate to classify Mike as linebacker. He ain't going to do it. But let's just go with
I know. I put him at DL.
Yeah. Let's just say pure linebackers. Leighton Vander Esch, Damone Clark, DeMarvion Overshown are without a shadow of a doubt your guys. Right? There's no debating that. Now, Jabril Cox, Malik Jefferson, Devin Harper. There's the Jabril Cox I don't think is safe. However, whether he's safe or not, the conversation is do you carry 5 or do you carry 4? Do you carry 6? So where do you feel safe at going at linebacker?
I would carry 5 because I know that I need, it's a position group that does get injured, but I also have Kearse and Bell to be kind of linebackers. So if I have LVE, Clark, Overshone, Cox, and Harper, right?
Yeah.
That's 5. And then I've also got Curse and Bell, so it's 5 or 7, right?
Sure.
And Cox is also of a little bit like Curse, so he's also a hybrid, so he's a little safety valve for the DBs, right? So in other words, it gets very strong on the back end if you do that.
What I was getting at was if you're going to go light somewhere and you wanted to do linebacker, and I'm not saying I would do this. I don't know when the last time this team went 4 linebackers, but that probably is the one. Because if you go Leighton Vander Esch, Damone Clark, DeMarvion Overshone, and whomever between Jabril Cox, Jefferson, and Harper. Jefferson's going to be tough. He's hurt now. So say 4. So you got the 4, right? And you say, well, Micah can do linebacker things. Okay, there's your 5. J-Ron Curse can do linebacker things. There's 6. Who'd you say? Marquise Bell? That's 7.
Oh, yeah.
And then you could argue Donovan Wilson is in the box a lot.
Yeah, exactly. So in other words, you're not weak back there by going a little short in one area. And I still feel the same way kind of on offense. Like literally, it's cool because they've built it in such a way. I mean, this is a really well-built team, man. It's so nice. These are like the what's the word? First world problems.
Yeah, first world problems.
No joke. You're talking about does a really good player like Wanye Thomas wind up on the practice squad if he can make it? Can Isaiah Land make it to the practice squad? Because guys who are like the very tail end of your rotation are so dang good. Right? Like
somebody like Land would be something let's hide him. Like, can you hide Land?
Oh yeah.
I don't know if you can do it.
Yeah, exactly. Can you say, look, you're going to make the team. I'm going to call your agent, tell him you're going to make the team. You just act really stupid for the next 4 games. Just fall down a lot during the course of this last preseason game. And act
I'm hurt.
Whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, it's terrible coaching. You can't really do that.
No.
Because it's just mean. But at the end of the day, it's like but it's the greatest problem in the world to have, where you're sitting there going like, man, we could keep. This is the first year where, they always say, oh, we wish we could keep 70 guys. Like, dude, we wish we could keep 70 guys. This is a really good,
they do a fantastic job with the UDFAs. They always have, right? You got the Cole Beasleys, Tony Romos, Miles Austin, Jeff Heath, Barry Church. Like, UDFAs usually have an impact on this roster, but the problem was this year it was going to be tough to get 4 UDFAs on this roster. It just is, because this is a really good draft and develop roster.
I think really that if it's going to sound probably dumb, but I think the UDFA that's likely to make this roster without a doubt is TJ Bass. I think TJ Bass is going to be a UDFA on the roster, but because I just think he's like Cody Mock, like literally I think he's exactly like Cody Mock, frankly, And
I like what I saw. I should have chopped up his tape, but man, I was a big fan of what I saw from that game. I was gonna again, I hate piling on Josh Ball, but I was gonna do this because look, here's the thing: if you go look at Josh Ball, I believe throughout the preseason, his preseason career, I don't think he ever had a clean slate game in the sense of no pressures allowed, no sacks allowed. I think every single game he's allowed like multiple pressures and sacks and whatnot. Whereas TJ Bass in his first outing did not give up a pressure, a hurry, a quarterback hit, a sack, and he showed way more awareness, and he showed way more strength and grit in the run game. Now, I did see Josh Ball finish a couple reps. Like, that's something that he showed a little bit last year too. But I just thought TJ Bass looked better and is better.
Oh, yeah. TJ Bass definitely looked better. But I will say one thing nice about Josh Ball, because we have been saying mean things to him, generally speaking.
Please, say something nice, please.
I saw the rep where the beautiful rep that Micah did, where the would-be sack of Dak in like half a second, and then he like stood up, like while the play was going on, he just stood up. Love that. That Micah is fantastic. But in that rep, about the only offensive lineman that didn't get blown off the ball was Josh Ball.
There you go.
So
there you go, Josh. See, we can say some nice things about you.
On the ground. So, just to be fair, he is not a complete, in other words, if they cut him, I'll bet you there's a team that will pick him up. Because as Vach says, and he's correct, there's a lot of bad O-line out there. Yeah. And actually, Josh Ball just might need the right Maybe he's a power running scheme guy. Maybe he's what's not a scheme fit. We don't know.
Sure.
Like that's something we don't know because we run the scheme we run, and maybe he doesn't fit in that. That's okay.
Yeah, all we know right now is Josh Ball ain't good right now. That's what we know.
No, yeah. Cowboys. I don't know if he could be good for somebody else, but he's not really good for the Cowboys. Yeah. But anyway, so I just think I think TJ is the guy that gets on the 53. And as much as I love Brooks, I think Brooks was a 7th-round pick, right? He wasn't
he wasn't undrafted. He's a 7th-round pick. Yep.
He was drafted. I still think he's probably going to wind up on the practice squad, though if they go 6 wide receivers, I think he could do it. And he'd be on the team. At which point, then somebody like, you're looking at Neville Gallimore or Marquise Bell is not going to make
in closing. In closing on Josh Brooks, Jalen Brooks, if they were to cut him, it would be the first time in a while. Y'all can give me I don't know exactly when the last time this has happened, that they've drafted a guy and cut him in the same offseason. Usually, if they cut somebody, a draft pick, it may be during the season or the following season, but I can't remember them cutting a guy they drafted. Yeah.
Why this is such a hard group. Like, this is different from usual because it's never been this different. Like, that's the thing. Like, you really want to cut Marquise Bell? Like, I don't, but it could happen. I don't really want to cut Gallimore. I think he's finally come back to being a proper 3-tech, and he's doing a good job. Like, I don't want to cut him, but he could get cut because last year he wasn't very good. So at the end of the day, like, and they're not going to cut Austin Richards because he's, 5th-round pick. 6th-round pick?
Fifth-round pick, but he's also so far so good with Austin Richards. So.
Yeah, exactly. And so, the only guy I can see, and because there's a lot of good wide receiving talent in the league in general, that if you cut a guy, chances are you'll be able to bring him back on the practice squad without dilemma. Like, Brooks has played really well in training camp. He's absolutely outplayed his 7th-round draft status, no doubt. But, once again, there are lots of good receivers in the league in the, wide receiver 4 to wide receiver 6 category, tons of them. And so, therefore, he'd probably make it to the practice squad pretty easily. I'm just saying, like, same with Hunter Lipke,
I think Lipke for sure.
Like,
Brooks would, if Brooks has another 2 quiet games in the preseason, I think it might be easy to say that because teams don't have practice footage, of Brooks. They have highlights of Brooks, but they had highlights of TJ Vasher. So they don't got practice footage to see that, hey, maybe there is something to him now. We can pick him up. But if he goes out and has a bunch of 1 for 5 games for 6 yards or something, he's not going to probably get picked up out there.
And I don't think I honestly think that he's like anybody, he needs time to develop. I develop on the practice squad. It's all good with me. Like, I don't hate
like anything.
I think he's done a really good. Yeah, exactly. I think he's done well. It's just he's young and he's learning and so be it. I'm not mad at that, and I certainly hope that I'd love to see him absolutely become like wide receiver 5 next year. That'd be genius. I've whatever. But anyway, that's all. I think going long at DL is extremely good. That's all.
That's where I'm at with it. I'm going long at defensive line, brother. Hey, John from Portugal. You still in Portugal?
Yep, still in Portugal.
And I hope everything is going well with you, man. And I want to say, who was it that I think moved over there in Portugal? One of our Cowboy friends on Twitter. I think he moved over there too. So was it Miller?
Yeah,
Dalton?
It's actually become
Dalton Miller.
Yeah. Cowboy jerseys in here.
Yeah. All right, brother. Well, in the opening, it's crazy. But you enjoy the rest of your day, man. Day or night, I'm not sure what it is over there, but you enjoy it, man. It was good to hear from you.
It's just the middle of the afternoon. It's all good.
All right, brother. Salute.
All right. Have a sweet day.
Man, great call from John. Usually always has great calls. Let me try. Circling the airport is crazy. No, but this is cool though. Like John is, I like hearing from him. But man, if you missed yesterday's show on the Watch Somebody Live, boy, I want to apologize. See, here's what happens. Me and Vach are real life noodles. We real life goofballs. And y'all know, you ever have friends, or you might have been one of them. Maybe you might be talking about you in school, and you be like, Boy, they better not put us in the same class. And they put you in the same class. You get your work done, right? You do what you got to do. But y'all cut up and stuff. That is quite literally me and Vach. That's why if we had a studio, it's going to be so much fun. But we don't need the studio. And we get through the seriousness of our conversations and things we need to do. But boy, we love to have fun, man. And we don't hide it. So if you missed yesterday's show, you want to talk about not landing the plane. That was not landing the plane. That was not landing the plane. What John was doing, man, that was good conversation right there. Not saying that the other dude wasn't good conversation. He ain't get that hint, though. You know? He didn't get that hint. El Tino said, teacher's nightmare. Yeah, I had a dude, Terrell. We in overtime, so if y'all don't mind, we're still going to talk. We got 2 more callers. I got you. But I had a dude, I might even slipped up and said his name. So we was cool, but we weren't cool enough to where we had that type of, friendship to where I was okay getting in trouble with you in school. When I found out he was in my class, I said, shit, I'm going to get in trouble because of this fool. Because we had a past relationship from the Boys and Girls Club. That was my boy back. But we weren't like that. We was cool because of the Boys and Girls Club. We was cool because we lived around the same hood, but we weren't that close. Oh, man. You know how many times I got in trouble just because he had me laughing or he was doing something crazy or he said something and I'm getting the look? That's not what that was yesterday. That was genuine but I don't want to say his name, but my man's legitimately got kicked out of school because he was crazy like that. But I kept getting the looks. Oh, I like being here. 3 callers in a row, L, was rough. It was rough yesterday. Anyway. Yes, the anyway was off the chain. Let's go back and watch the show. John, what's good, John? How you doing, man?
What's going on, Styles?
Another John. The other John, not John from Portugal. What's up with you?
John from Harlem.
Okay, you got Harlem in the building. Let me put you in there as that. Go ahead.
I just want to piggyback on what you were saying a little earlier about going deep with the defensive line. I 100% agree with that because to me, it's better to have and not need than to need and not have as far as the tackle is concerned. And that's been such a sore spot for us, for our defense, for so many years, stopping the run. I'll go long on the defensive line. That wouldn't even be a second thought for me, because I just want to hear about we can't stop the run. I don't want to hear that for another 10 years. I want us to stop the run consistently. You know what I mean? But just one thing, I just wanted to get your opinion on one thing. I'll hang up and I'll listen to your analysis on it. As far as solidifying the running back room, I haven't heard anybody say anything about Leonard Fournette. And I think he would be a perfect fit for them. Big back, can definitely pass block, and he's extremely good at catching passes out the backfield. I think he had like 75 catches out the backfield.
Yeah, he was fantastic with the Tom Brady led Buccaneers catching a rock. Yeah, I mean catching a rock he was.
Right, and I think that would fit perfectly with the West Coast or Texas Coast offense that they want to run.
Hey, John, you're going to get tomatoes thrown at you, brother. That was one of the very first names that I brought up a few months back when I was like, look, if y'all looking for a cheap power back, get you some of these tough yards, run somebody over, set a tone, but he also can catch out the backfield a little bit. I mean, Leonard Fournette is that guy. I mean, he ain't going to cost you much. If it don't work out, you move on. They elected to go get Ronald Jones. Now, Ronald Jones is suspended. He's out with injury. But there's other things to Leonard Fournette that people were like, hey, Sky, he might be lazy. Are there character concerns, things like that. And I said, fair enough. I'm just saying, if you're looking for a cheap dude that's going to be a power guy, that's not going to complain about only getting, 7-8 touches, it's a name. So I'm not opposed to that. I wasn't opposed to. Let me say that. I was not opposed to that. Now that we've got camp, we've seen, Deuce Vaughn, we've seen Rico and these guys. It's a different story. But going into camp, going into free agency, it was a name that I did bring up.
Yeah, and I'm not too confident in Rico Dotto. I'm not too confident about him. He's been there for how many years now? Like 3 years, 4 years?
21, 22. This is 4th season. Damn. Yeah, this is 4th season.
And in my mind, if you've been there that long and you still haven't been able to punch through, then maybe it's not going to happen,
So
I don't really feel too.
So I think it's the injury thing, right? Like he
Yeah.
missed 2021 because of the injury. He got hurt last year in the 5th game. And you're right. He hasn't really punched through. And at running back, it don't take 4 years. But maybe for him, it might. Maybe for him, this might be it. But to me, it's about can he stay healthy and can you depend on him? I don't think I can depend on Rico Dowdle. So that's why I was kind of an advocate of keeping 4. But
Well,
if you
it's obviously in him to have held on to him so long. So, maybe there's something they see that you don't get to see that.
No, John, there is something there, bro. Like, just go watch the game against Jacksonville, right? He returned a punt. He had some good runs. Go look at his preseasons from the last 2 years. He's put together good preseasons. He's put together good camps. But the reason why he can't punch through is because he can't stay healthy. He just can't stay healthy, or he hasn't stayed healthy. Let me say that.
Right. So I think just because of that one thing alone, I think it's time for him to, to move on from him and for them to look at other options. But anyway, that's all I have for you, Scott, man. You have a blessed day, brother. Keep it moving.
Salute. Shout out to my guy, John from Harlem. Blue Magic. Yeah, somebody said Leonard he's taking the year off, or he takes the year off. Again, the baggage concerns are real. Like, I get that. But there was a point in time where, I don't know if y'all still like this, but there were so many people that were saying, hey, we have got to get a power back. We've got to have a dude that can get 3rd and 1, that can move the pile, that can run some, make the defense feel it, all that stuff. There was at one point, that was a huge conversation. And I was just saying, well, if it ain't going to be Zeke, because it ain't, and it's definitely not now, here's a name. Boy, they hit me with a whole bunch of...
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
I said, I'm tuning out. I'm unsubscribing. I don't goddamn on Leonard Fournette. But, yeah, it's just a name, man. Shit. I thought he was washed when he got to Tampa. Ended up, helping them get to the Super Bowl. And he put some good tape out there. Wasn't great for him, though, last year. Wasn't great for him. Running the rock. Pass game? Thought it was something to him. Final call of the day. 240. What it do?
What's up, Scott? It's Clebo. Can you hear me good, man? I'm on my earpiece at work. Just making sure you can hear me first.
I mean, I can hear you, but if you could come off the earpiece, it might sound better. If not, we could work with it.
I can't because I'm driving.
Gotcha. I got you. I'll let you get through it and we'll wrap. Go ahead.
I appreciate it. First thing, man, I do call every once in a while. I don't watch the show all the time, not gonna lie. First thing, are you and Aisha Morrison related, bro? Excuse me if it's a dumb question, bro.
So we are not related, but we call each other twin. That's the. Speaking of which, by the way, we got something in the works for y'all for the season to get Aisha as a staple on the show. So that's kind of interesting you brought that up. So make sure you keep your ears and eyes open for that.
I got you, bro. She do great work, man. And
Yeah, she does.
Like, damn, man, everybody got a twin in this world.
And I'm sorry, anytime you bring up her name, I got to do this. Just got to do it.
Aisha, I feel you, bro. Hey, secondly, I just wanted to say, you spoke on it briefly about the new rule as far as, like, the cuts being at the end of the last preseason game. I kind of like it better that way because, sometimes you got guys who might start off slow in training camp, you know what I'm saying? And if it was the old rules, they'll get cut and, not giving them a chance to, correct their mistakes or get better, you know what I'm saying? I just feel like this way everybody gets a fair shot and then you can just pick and see in totality who had the best training camp, you know what I mean? So I kind of like it like that. And
I do too.
Lastly, okay. You like it like that too?
Yeah. Which is crazy because I started off the conversation. I said, man, I don't like this shit either, man. I want to go back to the old ways. And then I start looking and I start thinking, I'm like, wait, this is actually an advantage because you get to keep these guys a little bit longer. And once this, the preseason's over and you got to make these cuts, there's way too many people out there for all the teams to sift through. So I like it better. You're right.
That's true. I think I heard the beginning of your part when you say you didn't like it. So that's cool, bro.
Yeah.
And lastly, when it comes to the tight end room, I know you asked me, are you tripping? I don't think you're tripping at all. Because I remember when the talk was about drafting the tight end and when we drafted Schoonmaker, a lot of people was talking about why we drafting the tight end. We got Ferguson. Ferguson's our number one. I don't think that pick was because of Ferguson. I think it was because of Henderson. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like we're gonna be running a lot of 12 personnel, and then
It's fair too.
like you were saying earlier, when you're comparing Henderson and what's my man John Stevens Jr., I just feel like Stevens Jr. has way more upside, and I think keep McEwen, and it's easier, like you said, to get him to fall onto the practice squad. Now let me ask you this question because I don't know this rule. If you make the 53, like let's say we put McEwen on the practice squad, he makes practice squad.
Yep.
If you made the original 53 later on in the season, can you just drop somebody to the practice squad, or do you have to cut them and they have to clear waivers to make it to the practice squad?
It depends if they have. There's a certain point in time, and somebody can clarify this, where I want to say everybody gets designated to waivers, but there's a certain point before that. I think if you are cured certain amount of seasons, you don't have to go through waivers, and I believe Luke Schoolmaker is one of those guys. I'm sorry, not Luke Schoolmaker. McEwen will not have to go through waivers, so you can cut McEwen and say we're going to cut you and bring you back. In fact, brother, they did this with C.J. Goodwin a couple years ago. C.J. Goodwin, there was a wink, right? Like, hey, here's what we're going to do. We're going to cut you because we want to get X player on the roster so we can put that player on IR, and then we'll bring you back. But your question is, during the season, can you demote somebody to practice squad? No.
Yeah, that's my question.
No. Okay. Yeah, you can elevate somebody from practice squad. I don't know if they have the 3-limit rule anymore. There was a rule over the last couple of years where you can call somebody up from practice squad 3 times and without them counting against the roster. But after the 3rd time, you gotta make a cut. Yeah.
Okay, because I wasn't familiar with that rule. Okay, because I was wondering, because I know McEwen, I think all bets, nobody's claiming McEwen off.
I don't think so either. I don't really see it.
Yeah, I think that'd be the easiest thing, but but seeing Stevens, man, I like this dude, and then even a couple of times in the preseason game, man, that dude had a couple of good blocks, man. You know what I'm saying? So I'm excited about our tight end room. I'm excited about the team, period, man, and once again, man, like always, man, gotta let you know, great job you doing, bro, man. Keep doing what you're doing, man. Appreciate all the content, man. This is a rough summer, man, but I appreciate all the content, man. Can't wait for football season, man. Go Cowboys, bro.
Go Cowboys. Appreciate it, big dog. So much, you too, man. So much goodness in store for the football season. Game day lives, we're still, nothing is in the ink on that yet, but we probably will be in Arlington. Maybe not Texas Live, but we'll probably be in Arlington for game day lives. Like I said, we're gonna have 2i on here. We got something cooking up for that. Jesse Holly's gonna be with me. Obviously, Patrick Walker. We'll have him each week. He'll be on the show every week, and we'll have guests. And then over on Voches, we are lining up so much stuff for that as well. So this is about to be one for the books. 100% about to be one for the books. But yeah, Professor O's in here. He's really good with this stuff. I know there's a weird rule, and I think it happened last year, didn't it? Where after a certain point, maybe it's a trade deadline. I can't remember. After a certain point, when you cut somebody, I believe they went through waivers. But I thought as a veteran, you didn't have to go through the waivers. It's COVID kind of messed up a lot of things. COVID actually gave us the whole 3-game rule, but in season, it gets weird. Before the season, they tend to do that. Like I said, CJ Goodwin was a guy that did it before. Cooper Rush was a guy, hey, we'll cut you or bring you back, just giving you the old wink, wink, because they're not going through waivers. So maybe that's one of the things they can do. They can say, look, Sean McEwen, you don't got to go through waivers. We want you to be a part of the 46 because you do special teams. You are our first guy we call up to do the fullback stuff. However, we want to get Fehoko on here to put him on IR. We want to get John Stevens on here and we can put him on IR or something like that. So there will be roster gymnastics, and I think it'll be easier to do the roster gymnastics with McEwen than it would be with some of these other guys. Also, the roundtable. Yeah, we're working on that too. Trying to get one in before the season. And then, during the season, it's usually around bye week time, and then we'll get another one in. I like how it's spaced out, I know y'all want to see it every damn day, but I like how it's spaced out. It's I think it's kind of dope, honestly. All right, let's get to some of these super chats that were coming through today. And Sully, drop one. Come on.
Super chat.
Sully said, even the pass that Turpin kind of had to die for, getting guys wide open. Yeah, he's talking about earlier when we were talking about Tobert's touchdown where the concept got him open. And you're right. Again, there were some over situations, and the one that Turpin had to die for, he was wide open. Somebody had brought this up too. How many times did you see just wide open guys? There's open, right? Like that's open in the NFL if you got half a yard on somebody, but wide open. You will watch so many teams and you're like, how are they just wide open? And meanwhile, we have the most tight window throws in the league. That number should drop a little bit here. So yeah.
Super chat.
Brother L, appreciate you, big dog. He dropped 2 and said, can you make a say ouch list? Injury type situation? Elaborate, bro. Maybe that'd be in the works. I definitely want to get a what do you mean by that thing going. That could be something. We were talking about that off air because I do like the Drewski drop. What do you mean by that? Where y'all say some crazy, it ain't gotta be crazy. I shouldn't say crazy. Y'all say anything, but if it is crazy, I'll give you the floor to elaborate. What do you mean we should trade Micah Parsons? Y'all remember that dude? Eesh. Glenn. Shouts out to Glenn, man.
Super chat.
Glenn said, are we finally keeping a real fullback on the roster this year? These H-back types don't really work for me. A full-time fullback sells play action passes. Glenn, I'm gonna push back a little bit. I like the prospects of a guy like McEwen operating in that role. I don't mind it. I think the difference is when you have a natural fullback, you can hand him the ball. Pass catching, though, I'd argue the advantage goes to the tight end. Now, here's where Hunter Lipke was supposed to cover all that. Hunter Lipke was supposed to be able to hand the ball off to him, can operate single back sets, which if you go look at the practice notes, No C talked about him doing some more of that. He can catch the rock. He's supposed to cover all those bases. The one part where he's having to stack good days on is the blocking department. Can he be a better blocker than Sean McEwen? Because as much as, you don't like the H-back types, there is a lot of good film of Sean McEwen operating the blocking aspect wonderfully back there. The problem is Kellen never really played off of it. My issue with the, what do we call it? The Hulk package and putting a guard back there was you were giving it away. I'm clearly going to run the ball. And if I play action, you only got Noah Brown and Seth Wilson. So you couldn't do nothing with it. So he got rid of that. He put Sean McEwen back there. And I'm like, oh, we actually saw him block better. But he didn't do much play action and use Sean McEwen. So I actually don't mind it if it's a guy like McEwen. But if we're going to roll with a full-time fullback, there's only one. You're talking about Hunter Lipke. Right now, August 17th. Is he making this team? Let me go look at it. Is he making this team? I'm still on the practice squad wave. I feel like you can get him on a practice squad, y'all. And to be completely honest, if somebody gets him, you gonna be tripping about it? Nah, I don't think you will be. I don't think you will be. So is this the year to see a full-time fullback is what I'm looking at. Right now, no. Ask me that in 2 weeks. How are we feeling about that? Guru said, plus Hunter is Lupke, okay. A factor on special teams, question mark, seems like practice squad to me. That's where I'm at. I think practice squad right now. Right now. I like McEwen blocking better than I like Hunter Lipke blocking at this moment. But then you could say, well, Scott, he can run the ball. You're right. I like him running the rock more than I would ever put the ball in McEwen's hands from a running back standpoint. So no easy decisions that'll be made here. All right, Brother L, say ouch list. Guys that aren't quite starters. Oh, you mean, my, I got you. Aren't quite cut worthy, on a cusp or on the bubble players that you want to keep from other teams, but have to cheat the system to keep them around. I like it, Brother L. I like it. Say ouch. Got you. Professor O gave me the waiver question. All right. Let me find it, Professor. Here we go. So vets 4+ years aren't subject to waivers until 11/1. There it is. See, I knew it was a date. I didn't know when the date was. Then on November 1st, vets are subject to waivers for the rest of the year. There's the answer. The caller that called in prior to this. So if you want to do those crazy cuts prior to 11/1, you're good to go. But now there's going to be that strategic aspect to it. Like, hey, if I want to keep McEwen around without putting him through waivers, or John Stevens around without putting him through waivers, well, actually, that doesn't count John Stevens, but the McEwens and the good ones of the world, without putting him through waivers, I got to do it prior to 11/1. Because I remember it was a big deal after that deadline where there were players that got cut and we were talking about, hey, if he sneaks through waivers, and it was weird because he was a veteran. So appreciate that, man. Appreciate that. All right, that's about it. Good stuff today. We did a little overtime, but I liked it. On the way out, do me a favor if you enjoyed today's show, hit that like button. You want to be a part of the Bomb Squad, you got to be a subscriber. Hit that bell because we do have multiple live shows that we do, 1 in the morning here. I like to think that this is becoming one of the best Cowboys go-to morning shows in the nation. And then A to Z Sports Primetime, Mauricio joins the fray. He joins everything and he gets it going. Do me a favor, as I always say, if you were enjoying this show, hit that like button. It's major for us. If you missed the show, you missed out on another edition of The Scientific Method with Patrick Nosey Walker of DallasCowboys.com. But don't worry, we will run that back on Saturday. And of course, he'll be here next Thursday to give us his take on what's happening at camp. And I will be doing a few of these shows. This is going to be a weird week for y'all, for me, in regards to what you guys will be seeing. Let me just give y'all kind of a rundown. On Monday, I'll be doing the show here in the studio. Tuesday, I'll be doing the show at the Star. Not at the Star, but I'll be doing the show at the Omni. Wednesday, I'll be back here. And then Thursday, I'll be back at the Omni. It's really going to be very weird, but I'll kind of be back and forth. But nonetheless, we will be giving y'all the coverage that you guys deserve and need if you're a Cowboy fan. All right, man. Go ahead, press that button. And y'all press that button too. That like button. We're gonna get up out of here. I love that energy. Brother L said, becoming, it is one of the greatest. I appreciate that, bro. The humble thing, I'm a humble guy, but you're right, bro. It's one of them ones, in my opinion. I'm ready to stand on it. Love y'all to death, though. We out of here. We'll see y'all tomorrow morning. Not on Vacha's show, but make sure y'all tune in anyway. Vacha and Barty live. Probably start at 3 o'clock. Foots will be on there in my place. Salute. We out.
Yeah! They squabbling out there now. Yeah! Bomb Squad!